We're live and we are waiting for viewers to appear. If you're just joining us, if you remember from last year, I seem to never be able to see the comments, so I'm facing this shelf so I can see the comments and figure out what's going on. So while we're waiting for people to come into the live, could you please just say hello in the chat? Tell us where you're watching from. Sam, hey Sam Stinson, where are you watching from, Sam? Maybe tell us some of the wild animals that you've seen in recent weeks. We had a slow start to the season, but we are picking up now. So what animals have you seen and where are you watching from? I see lots of people joining. Still waiting for some comments. The reason I'm filming the books is because last year could never see the comments. So I just don't want you guys to see my confused face as I'm trying to figure out the comment section. So please say hello in the chat for me, guys, so I can check out the comments. Calgary, okay, I see it. Thanks, Sam, watching from Calgary. Anyone watching from out of the province? Where are you in Calgary, Sam? What wild animals have you guys seen? All right, I think I've got the chat figured out, which means that I'm going to flip around. Sam says he saw a raven's nest today. Awesome. Wow, you're so lucky. Hello, Hunter, watching from Calgary. All right, I think I've got it figured out finally. Hey, Carla, thanks for joining. I'm gonna flip it around to me. Yay! Hey everyone, I'm Becky. Maybe you remember me from last year if you came to our baby shower, except I got a haircut since last year. Shout out to my hairdresser, John, best hairdresser in the city at Cannibal. If you want a haircut, there's a shout out. So introductions to some other people who are on the live with us tonight. We have Mel. She'll be in the chat putting some info in there for you. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. We also have Kyla. She's just sitting there beside me and we'll be pointing over to her in a second. So why are we here tonight? We're here for our baby shower. So this is the first baby shower of 2025. Welcome. First of 4. We're here to raise money for our babies. This is our busiest time of the year. We take in roughly like 900% more patients at this time of the year, and they can eat so much. So that's what we're here for. We're here to raise money. Our goal this year is $40,000. That should cover roughly about 4 months of food and meds, just a rough guesstimate. So how can you help us with that? Melanie's gonna pop some links in the chat for you right now. So first of all, we have a 50-50 that just opened up a few days ago. Mel, you can put that link in the chat for us. That is going to run until the end of the month. Last year it sold out. So the winner got 10K and 10K went back to the animals. So make sure you get your tickets before they sell out. The second initiative we have is a matching scheme. So one of our long-term supporters, Mr. Steve Patterson, has generously vowed to match every donation dollar for dollar up to $5,000. So we have a dedicated donation link that Mel, I saw just put in the chat now. Thanks, Mel. So if you donate via that, your 25 turns to 50, your 50 turns to 100, and so on. So make sure you get in on that before it's too late. What else? Yes, so starting right now, any donation, or the first 5 donations, important, the first 5 donations of $25 or more made through the dedicated donation link that Mel's gonna put in there. So it's the dedicated donation link for the baby shower. Will receive a special thank you gift in the post. So that's starting right now until the end of tonight, so like at midnight. And if you wanna try your hand at being one of our top donors of the month, so our top 3 donors via that dedicated donation link will also receive an extra special thank you in the post, and those are things that you can't get on our merch store. They're only available to you, all of you watching. So who else is watching? Lena. Hey, Lena's just joined the video. Thank you, coming into the live video, sorry, the chat. Who else? Chris, wow, thanks for coming, Chris. All right, I think I've told you all the great ways that you can donate, which means I'm gonna flip over and introduce you to Kyla. Let me find the flippy, there it is. There's Kyla. Hey, Kyla. So we originally had said we were going to do robins, but it was a bit of a miscommunication, and so we're switching to crows tonight. So we have one crow that we're going to be showing. Can you tell us a bit, Kyla, about the circumstances of why this crow came into our care?
You remember we had some fierce winds happening not that long ago. The tree that its nest was in blew down, and then the arborist came and chopped the tree up, and the nest was destroyed, unfortunately. So this little crow came into care that way.
And can I just say thank you everyone who's joining us tonight. It seems like Kyla's an Oilers fan, so if you're an Oilers fans but you're joining the baby shower, we appreciate that. We know there's a game happening tonight. So I imagine, Kyla, with the extreme weather too, we'll probably be seeing more nest destruction and things like that in this year.
Yeah, it happens, especially when the wind gets up. A lot of these birds, like the robins that we were talking about just a second ago, they have really tiny nests, and it doesn't take much for them to come out of a tree. So, but these bigger guys, yeah, when the trees are really tall, they don't see the nests, and the trees come down.
All right, well, we're going to get to see them in a few minutes. Make sure you all stick around. Don't head off yet. All right, second question I have for you, Kyla, is crows are part of the corvid family. So that's like ravens, jays, magpies. Super smart. Can you give us some like interesting facts about corvids?
There are so many. The corvid family is a very intelligent family. Most people are aware of that. It's part of the reason that we have so much trouble with corvids is because they're problem solvers. So when we're trying to deter them from coming around, they figure out how to get through or around what we're doing. So they do all kinds of really neat things. They have funerals for their families. So that's one thing that the corvid family does. So they will gather around a deceased member, and they'll talk to each other, and they will actually mourn the loss of their family member. They can solve puzzles, and they can build tools. So they can solve puzzles like if there's something with water in it and they're trying to get something that's floating in it but the water's too low or their beak is too big, they'll actually add things to the water to make the water level rise. And another really weird thing that corvids do that most people don't see, it's a lot of the crows and ravens that do this, is called anting, A-N-T-I-N-G. And what they do is they use ants and they rub them on their feathers. And there's a couple of different theories why they did this. They used to think it was because it was some kind of repellent, but it actually turns out that there's boric acid on the outside of ants, and they don't like the taste of it. So they rub the ants on their feathers to get the boric acid off the outside of them before they eat them, but they'll rub them all over their bodies.
You know, that's a great story. And Lena just said, that's amazing. That is amazing, Lena. Thanks for sharing that. Shayla Marie Ward just joined. Hey, Shayla, thanks for coming. We have lots of people watching right now. Some people might not know the differences between the words fledgling and nestling. Could you just give us a brief description of what those are?
Sure. A nestling is a baby that is just hatched. It's usually between 10 and 14 days that they're fully in the nest, and they grow very quickly. Birds grow astonishingly quickly. And so when they're in the nestling, they're completely dependent on their parents for everything. And then when they get to the stage where they're called a fledgling, what often happens is they're standing on the edge of the nest, they're trying to show off for their brothers and sisters, and they're flapping their wings and testing things out, and they fall. And they don't have enough wing strength to get back up to the nest, but they'll be on the ground around or near where the nest was. They do walk away. They're not always right under the nest, but the parents are usually very close by. And they continue to feed them and help them while their feathers grow in and shed the shafts that their feathers come in with.
Awesome. Wow, we have so many people joining now. Carla's here, Bonnie's here. Thanks for joining, guys. We have one more question, then we're going to go over into our corvid room to do a little bit of a feeding. So my final question for you, well, I guess I have two. What we have right now, is this a nestling or a fledgling that we're going to see?
This is a nestling. He's still staying completely in the nest.
All right. So should the public do if they see a nestling on the ground? This is, I guess, for all bird species. And what should they do if they see a fledgling on the ground?
So the biggest thing is if you see a nestling on the ground, you try and get it back into the nest. If the nest is way too high, there's lots of ways. If you have a little cardboard box at home that you can put into the tree underneath the nest, as long as the opening on the cardboard box or whatever you use, Rubbermaid, is big enough for the parents to continue to feed the baby and big enough for the baby to be able to still fledge when it comes time for that and get out of it. That's the best thing that we can do for them. And then for the fledglings, when we find them on the ground, unless you notice there's a serious injury, the best thing to do is just leave them there. Mom and dad are not that far away, even when we don't see them, and they will continue to feed them as they call out during the day when they're hungry.
All right, so I'm flipping around to me. Thank you. Can everyone hear Kyla? Can you give me a yes in the chat if you can hear her? We were using a special microphone tonight we didn't use last year, so hopefully it's louder. While we are getting ready to go, Kyla's going to turn down the volume. We're going to head over to our Corvid room, like I said. So we're going to be silent. If you've joined the baby shower before, you'll know that that means we do that because we're treating wild patients, so we don't want to stress them out. But B, we don't want them to become accustomed to the sound of our voice and then associate food with humans. So we're silent. This is a pretty standard wildlife rehabilitation protocol, just to be quiet. So we'll be quiet and then in the feeding. But Mel's going to be in the chat. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. Mel can answer them, or we can try to answer them when we come back. I do see the chat this year, which is great, but they move really quickly. Someone said they can't hear Kyla very well. Okay, when we come back, Kyla will speak louder. Or turn up your volume if you can. Okay, here we go. Silence, we're just walking you through the halls. It's a busy time of year, lots of people around, people chatting, people being busy, walking you through our exam room. You're getting a little bit of a behind the scenes view. Not everyone gets these types of views. And we're now heading into our Corvid room. I'm going to shut the door behind me. taking eggs. So some animals will have their favorite, just like people. So depending on what we're feeding them, they'll definitely have different flavors of food. I'm sure that Melanie put that info in the chat for you. So when that happens sometimes, you can't force them to eat. So the ones that we just showed you on the bottom, that was not planned, those are baby gulls. Adorable, but they're self-feeding, so that's why we didn't have them in the shower tonight. Hey Nancy, thanks for joining us. I hope you guys all were able to see some of the feeding. Lena says, cool. Do they like items like bread and crackers? Yeah, we don't want to feed that to wildlife for sure. Natural food for sure. What else? I'm seeing if I can see any of these comments. Sam keeps saying hello. Sam is watching. All right, I'm going to flip over to you. Hello, Sam. Hello, Sam. I'm flipping back to you, Kyla. That was great. So I guess that's normal. Sometimes they eat, sometimes they don't.
It is getting later in the day as well, so they do get tired around sundown. So it could just be it's the time of day where he's ready to have a nap.
I noticed there, I'm not sure if the viewers could see on their end, but he started like nodding off. He was like an old man, like he wanted to stay awake, but his head was bobbing, so fair enough. Okay, so what were we feeding them just there?
Just there, what I had was a mix of some softened dog kibble, and there was some superworms in there. They were deceased superworms because the live ones can bite, and sometimes the babies don't have the best aim, so we just want to be careful with that. There was some hard-boiled egg, some peas, some corn, and some blueberries.
I think eggs seem to be the favorite.
Yeah, he seemed to really go for that. I was told earlier today he was loving the superworms.
Oh no.
So it just depends on what time of day it is, I guess.
I guess like any baby, right? They eat when they want to. How often when they're in care with us, how often do we feed them?
When they first come in as nestlings, they usually start around 15 minutes. He's on a 20-minute feed now, so he gets fed every 20 minutes all day from sunup till sundown. And then that's the same with all of our birds. Some of our mammals are a little bit different, and it just depends on the natural feeding cycles.
Gotcha. Okay, final question. So crows in the wild, do they stay with their family unit forever, or do they like find new groups and move on and hang out with other families?
It's kind of a mix of things. So they will stay with their families for the first few years, and they'll actually help feed the babies for the next year. They'll feed and take care of and hang out at the nest as sentry for the nest the final year. Some of them they stay usually 1 or 2 years. Some reports are up to 5 years, and then they do stay in a family group. They'll move off just a little bit. They don't very often leave the family territory while they're growing up. So they stay by and they'll go home for visits just like we do. When we grow up, they'll go back and check things out, and then they'll go off and meet up with some new friends, especially in the fall when they're getting ready to go to migrate. These crows don't migrate the same way you see like a hummingbird migrate or a raptor migrate, but they do know that it gets really cold here, so they will move south if they're feeling that it's getting too cold.
They've learned their lesson. All right, that's great. Thank you so much, Kyla. I'm flipping around back to myself, so they know to leave. They know it's freezing. Yeah, they're smart. Like, why stick around if you don't have to, right? Okay, great. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for sticking around. Bonnie's still here. Donna's here. Thanks guys for coming. So my reminders before we sign off for tonight. So we have the 50/50. Mel can pop that link into the chat below. That will run until the end of the month. The draw is going to be on July 2nd. The winner, if it sells out like it did last year, which I'm sure it will take home $10,000, and the other $10,000 goes to help wildlife rehab. Wildlife, injured and orphaned wildlife. The second way you can help, so we have that matching scheme. Our wonderfully generous supporter, Mr. Steve Patterson, is matching every donation dollar for dollar up to $5,000. So Melanie can pop that into the chat too. So your $50 becomes $100 and so on. What else? We have our gifts for donating. So the dedicated donation link from when we started tonight until midnight tonight, the first 5 donors of $25 or more will get a thank you gift in the mail. These are only available during our baby shower. They're not available on our website. They're not merch that you can normally get. So make sure if you want to get in on that, do it quickly. And if you want to try your luck at being one of our top donors of the whole month, so top 3 donors, via that same dedicated donation link, you'll get an extra special thank you gift in the post. Again, not available on our website. Our goal, again, is $40,000. That will hopefully cover about 4 months of food and meds. So that's our goal for the year. I think I've said about it. Is that it? I've said all the things I need to say. So today was week 1. We have 3 more weeks to go. We don't know what the patients will be. We probably won't know until, the day before or the day of. So please set a reminder on your phone every Wednesday, 7 p.m. So we have 3 more to go. Tell your friends, tell your family, like the videos, share them for us. It helps us with, getting the algorithm and getting more visibility and all that sort of stuff. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Nancy, for coming. We appreciate you joining and, sending words of encouragement. So we'll see you next week, hopefully 7 p.m., same place, same time, same people, different animals. Remember to share with your family and friends, and have a great week and have a great weekend. See you next time, everyone. Bye.